Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Janmadhyasya yatonnmayaditaratasya artheshva bhignaswarat tene brahmarudhaya adikavaye muhyantiyam surayah tejo vari mrunam yatha vinimayo yatratra sargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. In the previous discussion, we were discussing about Ekadasha Skanda, that is Skanda 11, and we started looking into this is the Skanda where the dynasty of the Yadus starts retiring. That means the destruction is starting. Then we saw that several rishis came to visit Sri Krishna in Dwarka, and we also saw the Krishna's son Samba, son of Jambuvati, did some mistake and they got cursed, and we saw all those details. And also we looked into Vasudeva, Krishna's father, requesting Narada for the advice. Then Narada gave a beautiful advice how to get out of this worldly thing and get to the moksha. So this is the way the Skanda 11 unfolded. So that way Yadu dynasty, the retiring of the Yadu dynasty started. That means Krishna is also going to leave this world. So this happened for maybe tens of years, continuously people coming and getting the advice kind of thing. There is a mention of the Brahma and the Devatas visiting Sri Krishna in Dwarka and requesting him to come back to the Vaikuntha. I don't know whether it's very interesting whether Vishnu left Vaikuntha to become Krishna or just it's avatar of Krishna here and Vaikuntha Vishnu was there. What is the reason they are asking to come back? I don't know. But they came. This is little confusion because I too did not understand why did they say come back, right? Or maybe we are not understanding the sentences in Bhagavata properly. Anyways, the purpose is Avatara is going to complete, and the Swarupa here, that is Krishna in the form of Krishna, it's going to, when once we say it's omnipresent, so then where is the going back, right? Anyways, the Avatara he is going to end in the physical form on the earth. Then the energy within that Krishna Avatara, he will be going back to Vishnu Loka and merge there. That's what my assumption is. So they came to see, for example, a person is getting retired in the office and everybody comes and meets him, right? That doesn't mean that the person doesn't exist. He is retiring from that job. Maybe that's the reason everyone is coming. The Siddhas, the Rishis, Munish, everyone is coming to see Krishna, get the blessings and all those things, including Narada. Now in this chapter, in the discussion of this chapter, we see that desiring to see Krishna in this form of Krishna, maybe that is going to end. So Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Rishis, Pitrugana, Vidyadharas, Kinnara, Kimpurusha, and other demigods, and all headed by Brahma. They came to, and Brahma and Shiva too, and Indra, the Sura, the king of the Swargalok, all arrived to Dwarka, and they praised Krishna, what all the things he has done, and the power he has expressed, the qualities he has shown on this earth. And they said, simply by hearing this katha, whatever you have done on the earth, and chanting about this pastime, the Bhagavata katha, in fact, Dashamaskanda mainly, a simple person in Kali Yuga can go to get the moksha. So if you think of the timing this happened after Mahabharata war. That means at the starting of the Kali Yuga, this Brahma and all these devatas came to Dwarka visiting Shri Krishna. That means in the Kali Yuga they came. That's what I understand. And they came and visited Krishna, saying that we are so happy that you have shown this avatar, and this is a very good pastime for us to have to remember your super nature, super personality, and to chant, and that's how we can get to moksha. So they also say that by anyone who does this chanting of your the avatar varnana and other things they will get out of this, they cross over this materialistic world and go to the moksha. And Sri Krishna also revealed that he said, yes, I am going to retire from this this avatara in few years, and Yadu dynasty will end, and all the people who are involved in this drama of Yadu dynasty also go back. Then he said, that's how the entire drama of which started in Dwapara Yuga will end. And he also called his people Yadu families and said, whatever the Brahmanas curse you remember, that is going to happen. So let us all go to Prabhasa. Prabhasa is the place where most of the time people got together, the kshetra where it is they took holy dip in the holy water and all those things. Then he said, let us go to Prabhasa, where they could get together and perform the rituals, perform the charity before they leave. So they agreed with Krishna and they went. And they joined Krishna there. And Brahma and others also, they were happy that Krishna has decided to complete his avatara, and then they went back to their respective lokas. If you remember all those names we mentioned about Gandharvas, Kimpurushas, Nagas, each one is a different loka. In the discussion of Skanda 5, we discussed all those Jambudvipa, how it is divided, who is leading there, where is Kubera, what is the Nagaloka, who is leading that loka. All those things we studied, the population of those particular lokas. So visiting earth. So very interesting. That means the story is very well connected, very well directed kind of thing. So now they went back. Now Yadus got together, they came back to Prabhas to complete their Prabhas is the place where they Yadus fight with each other and destroy. That is happening in the discussions. So then now they are here. In this process, Udhava, friend of Krishna, the childhood friend of Krishna, who always with Krishna throughout his life as a friend, advisor, and he's a servant, all those things, all in the entire process of this what Krishna Avatara, he was always there with him. We remember, once Krishna sent Uddhava to Nandagokula to talk to the Gopikas and others about Krishna's greatness, what is happening, why he did not come back, and all those things. So that is a very close friend of Krishna. Now Uddhava, he came to know that Devatas are visiting, the Rishi Munis are visiting, even Vasudeva, Krishna's father, also requested Nanda to get the advice. That means before Krishna moves out of this world, he wants to get hold of what next, what is my plan, what is planned for me after you are left, right? So Uddhava approached Krishna in a personal meeting and he started requesting him. Krishna, once you are going done, please take me with you, with your abode. Take me to Vaikuntha. I can't live without you. Krishna said, yes, that is all possible, but just because you are my friend, you cannot come with me. You have to complete the Jnana related things and Vairagya related things. Then only there is an entry into the Vaikuntha, coming near to me. So there are something you need to know about how to get detachment from this world. Since you have born as a human being and since you are already part of this drama, you cannot abruptly end with me. You cannot conclude and join with me. You have to do some things because you are not Bhagavan. That is the one, right? Bhagavan can only do, he is the Swatantra, Sarvatantra Swatantra. He can just turn off and go. But others cannot do. We have to complete, including us, we have to complete our karma, we have to do all the things that is necessary to get qualified to go to the moksha level. Udhava also need to do that. Vasudeva, Krishna's father, also has to do that. So everybody has to learn those things and go and then qualify to go. Right? Very interesting part of the entire Bhagavata story is that even though Uddhava is always with Krishna, he did not, he needs to do these things and go. Even father of Krishna has to complete those karma. Nobody is left, nobody is different. Everybody has to complete their work and go, including Brahma. And also we saw some of the Rakshasas, they got killed by Krishna and they took birth in some other form, and then finally since they were approached Krishna, and then they happened to go to the moksha status. Everybody, whether it is a asuras or sura, whoever is eligible to get to moksha, have to follow some certain path. So now when we are talking about Uddhava also requested Krishna about that, and Krishna said, yeah, you need to do these couple of things, I will explain you. And he said, you have to take sannyasa. Sannyasa means detachment from this world. Being here attached with detachment, or something like, right? Like they say, the water on the leaf of the lotus, right? So you have to do that come. Then Uddhava is requesting, how do I do that? See, you tell all those things, down. How do I do that? Can you explain me? How do I renounce my materialistic things? I aspire to do that, but I don't know how to do. Is there a way? And he says, look at the Uddhava's voice. Uddhava says, such renunciation is certainly very, very difficult to accomplish for living entities, the human beings on this earth. He's talking about us also, right? Uddhava is saying, though we know these are the not good things to do, but we still do, like diet control, right? We know if you eat more sweet, you get heavy, or like your weight will increase, health will be not good, but still we want to eat, we crave for the sweets, still we eat sweet, still we struggle, but still we think, oh, because of the sweet it is happening, right? Still this is a so difficult thing, knowingly we cannot do some things. Then what about sannyasa? So Uddhava is expressing, how do I accomplish this? It is a very difficult thing. And he's asking, can you give me some instructions which a common person who misidentify the entire this body as the self and can be convinced to carry out their duties in accordance with order of the Bhagavan. Like you are asking me to get out sannyasa, get out of this, and it cannot be detached like that, right? So can you give me instruction? So Krishna says, this is all practice. The soul, the Jivatma, what we call, is own guru. You have a soul, Jiva, and with Jiva is the Paramatma. Jiva Isha, two birds are there, right? That is there with you. So they are with you. Guru, your soul itself is a guru for you. You listen to him. And you can search me in you by positive means. And you can achieve me. Generally, such kind of people who seek the knowledge from the guru, the soul, and analyze actual situation of the materialistic world, they will be able to rise themselves beyond this impulsive behavior of the gross materialistic world. That is possible. An intelligent person means the person who is willing to do practice and in understanding the world and applying the sound logic, can achieve the benefits of through his intelligence. But foolish people, they know, still they do the same thing, but because of that they will be stuck. And please note, Udhava, Krishna says, this Janma, Manava Janma, is the best part of the entire the life cycles you go through. If you don't achieve in this life, in this form, and if you do something wrong and come back to another animals, then the consciousness will be not that great. Then you have to come back again. So this is the best Janma you can make it happen. This is the greatest opportunity. So Manava Janma doddadu, hani madali bedi huchappa galira. The sentences from Dasavaryas, Dasaru have sung this. It is coming from this explanation. They say this is the best Janma. This is where you have to make it or mar it, kind of thing. And that's what Krishna is telling to Udhava. So make use of this life. And Krishna also started explaining a beautiful story about Avadhuta. The entire discussion between Krishna and Udhava is called Udhava Gita. In this Udhava Gita, the explanation that Krishna, the dialogues between Krishna and Udhava is called Udhava Gita. In this Udhava Gita, there is one more story called Avadhuta Gita. That means Krishna is talking about a story that happened, and he talks about how your ancestor Yadu, right? Krishna is a Yadava. Yadu is the first guy of the Yadava Kula, right? We saw that names in the past, like how the dynasty Chandra and Surya dynasty, right, deviated, right? So Yadu is the starting point of Chandra dynasty. And Surya Vamsha, Rama appeared in Surya dynasty and Krishna appeared in the Chandra dynasty. So Yadava, the Yadu, and Yayati Maharaj, it's Yayati's son is Yadu, right? Once what happened is, Yadu once came across a Brahman, Avadhuta. Avadhuta is the one who has left everything detached, living, who was traveling around. He saw this guy, Avadhuta, and he saw him always is happy in a transcendental ecstasy. And he saw this. Yadu is a king, right? He's moving, he went somewhere and he saw this guy happy, and he is just on one kaupina and still he is happy, enjoying, right? We see such people in our world also, in day-to-day life also. But most of the times recently what is happening is life is so busy, we don't recognize each other. Just we say, hi, hey, how are you? But we are not interested in knowing how they are. Just we say, how are you, right? And we don't wait for to hear what they say about how they are. We have become so materialistic, more mechanical. So maybe in the Yadu's time it was not like that. So Yadu came across this Brahman, this Avadhuta, who was happy and in the ecstasy mood. And then he's asking him. King inquired, "How are you so happy? And how can you be in the so ecstatic condition? Because I am the king and I see so many other very rich people. They have everything, but they have worries. But in your case, you accept Kaupina, you don't have anything, but you are still happy. What makes you happy? What is that you know that I don't know?" Is the question from Yadu. This question is not at all asked by any of us in this current world, because nobody interested in what is there. Maybe some of us even don't know there is another world where the moksha and other things. Some religions don't even believe the rebirth and the salvation and other. They don't even believe in those things. So that was the world when during the Madhu's time, people still believed in there is a thing called moksha and we have to get out of this misery kind of thing. So for that Avadhuta replied to Yadu. If you remember the same story about Jadabharata in the past, Jadabharata was like, he was also an Avadhuta. Avadhuta is the one who is totally disconnected to the world and he is independent of everything. He doesn't bound by the rules. They are on their own kind of guys. But Jadabharata was also like that. He is also called Avadhuta. The expression of Avadhuta Charya was done by Jadabharata. He also he also recognized by this a king called Rahugana Maharaj. Then Rahugana became the disciple of Jadabharata. Then we saw that also. Similarly, this is the discussion between Avadhuta, this Avadhuta, they call Dattatreya Avatar also, this guy, and Yadu requested him all the things that he wanted to know. Then Avadhuta says, "Santime Guruvo Rajan Bahu Buddhi Upashritam Yato Buddhi Upadaya Mukta Nan Tan Shrunan." Shrunu, that means hear me. Prithvi Vayur Akasha Agnish Chandrama Ravihi Kapoto Jaganas Sindhuhu Patango Madhukrut Gajaha Madhuha Harino Minaha Pingala Kurarurbakaha Kumari Sharakrut Sarpaha Urnanabihi Supeshakrut Ete me wo Guruvo Rajan Chaturvimshita Rashrita. He says, I have 24 gurus from whom I learned these things. And he listed them. Prithvi, Vayu, Rapa, Akasha, Agnis, Chandra, Ravihi, right? All those things he listed. He says 24 things I observed. Here, the Avadhuta says, this entire Shrushti kind of a school for me. And Bhagavan has given these indicators and I am able to observe them. But you are not observing. I observe them and learn. I learned what it is. Because of that, I am able to achieve the sannyasa, the detachment. If you do this in your life on daily basis, then you can achieve what I have achieved. You can be happy. So this is a very interesting concept. I felt, especially when I heard this concept of in 2000. When I went back to India first or second visit after coming to US, my brother gave me this cassette from Bannanje Govindacharya. That is Prakrutiya Patha. So it was so well narrated. This one has to listen to this. That is in Kannada, anyways. And they talk about 24 gurus. I liked I did not, may not be the entire thing I understood, but I like the concept of observe the world. then you get the lessons. And then I developed this habit of observing, analyzing every situation. In fact, I wrote couple of articles in Kannada. Like after this, listening to this, maybe once I was waiting for the train or something. I saw the train tracks. Then when I started thinking about the tracks, the railway tracks, they are always parallel. They never meet, but still they conduct their duty of taking these railway and the yatris. They conduct their duties, and they don't meet at all. So then I wrote an article called the philosophy by railway tracks. The way Avadhuta is 24 gurus, I could observe one more component like that, and then I wrote an article. That's railway hali ಹೇಳಿದ ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ, the philosophy of railway tracks. Maybe it is available in Kannada in one of the Sangama magazines. If possible, I will share with you guys. Similarly, I wrote couple of articles around this observation of different situations. That has become, I made it as one of my habit of analyzing any situation around me, and if there is any philosophical meaning in that, the intention of sharing all my personal things is that habit that Avadhuta is asking Yadu to practice can be practiced. Observing the things can be done. So here, in case of this, to continue the story of Yadu, the Avadhoota Gita it's called, is that Avadhuta explained 24 gurus. There are 24 gurus: earth, wind, right, sky, water, and fire, moon, sun, pigeon, and there is a Vaishya called Pingala, and elephant. Like that, he gives 24 different gurus. And he starts explaining that what is that he learned from each one of them. So that is the Avadhuta Gita. So he says, I learned from earth how to be sober. One of the characteristics of earth. Earth provides food. Earth provides water, right, on its surface, and it helps everyone to live. It helps everyone to flourish. It is doing its duty of service to the mankind, but still it is sober. Men, the human beings, are treating earth so bad. They destroy the forest, they destroy the mountains, they mine the mountains, all those things they do. Still earth is so kind, right? That's the reason we call as Dharitri as Mata. Kshamaya Dharitri. Dharitri is so forgiving. So that's what he learned from that. I should be so forgiving, and should be so sober to serving the people, even though they hurt me, which is very, very impossible thing to follow by us. It is very difficult for us to follow. But he says, I learned from that. One most important thing before we continue the story should be, I felt should be observed here is, Avadhuta is the one who is totally detached with the entire samsara. The Yadu, one who is listening, like we, even all of us, right, listening to this, may not be completely detached. We may have all those components of which is difficult to practice, kind of, but still we can collect the gist of it and try to practice. Then he talks about wind, Prithvi, Akash, right? Wind provides the vital part of the thing for the life, that is air. which is essential for the body, for all the living beings. And he says, I learned how to be satisfied with merely keeping oneself alive from this wind. And also, I learned that how to remain uncontaminated by the body and the objects of the senses. A wind can, the air can flow a place where it is a very dirty and carry that smell, and the same wind goes to the flower garden, carries the sugandha of that place. So it carries unattached. Whatever comes on the way, it takes it. So I learned that quality from the wind. Then he talks about the sky, how the soul, which pervades all the material substances, is both in the individual and the invisible and impermissible. From the sky, I learned that I should be like that, like the sky. Everything happens in the sky. All the things what we do, we construct the home, we do the drive the car, the rain happens, the clouds burst, all those things happen in this, but still sky remains detached. That's what I learned from the, that's how this soul should be. The soul in this body, whatever that happens in this bodily world, I should be detached. There is a beautiful poem by one of the Kannada poet, D.V. Gundappa, about this kind of behavior one can, how to practice. He says, construct two rooms in yourselves. One is inside and one is outside. Outside is for the lokavarta. That means outside is for the activities for the life. If you are doing a job, you do the job. You are talking to some person, talk to that person. But inside, you come and stay alone yourself, analyze the things, correct, make the corrections, and grow. Soul should try to go to the next level of achievement by being compartmental. Two things, right, that can be achieved. We play so many roles in our life, right, as a parent, as a husband, as a friend, as all those things we do, but still inside me I am myself. That should always keep interest in doing the right things and growing, right? That's what he says. I learned that kind of quality from sky. Then Avadhuta talks about water. The best quality he has seen in the water is clarity, the clear. How to be naturally clear and purifying. You come across the water, the first thing it does is cleaning you. However dirty is your hand, you put your hand in water, it starts cleaning you. I want to be like that. If somebody comes in contact with me, I want to help them to get purified. However negative that person is, however bad things he is talking about, however unhappy that person is, I want to contribute to his life, making him happy, making him less miserable, making him less sad. Or if he is trying to abuse, not, I don't want to fight with him, but I want to make sure whatever the negative things he has, I want to clarify. I want to be very clear as water. I want to be purifying. That's what I learned. That's what is water is doing in this world. Of course, other than that, it is quenching the thirst. It is part of every food we take. All those things are there. It is like air. It is essential part of everybody's life. But Avadhuta says, most important quality I saw in the water is the naturally clear clarity, being clear and purifying the one that comes in contact with water. Those are the qualities I learned from the water. So this is the beauty of a person who can keep observing and getting best out of whatever he sees. Then he comes to talks about Agni, the fire. He learned how to purify again all the things that comes in contact with Agni also. He says fire has qualities to purify the things without becoming dirtied, and how to destroy all the inauspicious desires of those who make whatever the offerings we make to the fire. You put bad thing, it burns it out. If put the good thing, it burns out. It takes everything, it makes it, it burns it. That is the quality I should have, that I should develop a personality of a fire. If something wrong thing comes with me, I want to burn it out. And also he says how the fire, a supreme soul, enters into every body and appears to assume the identity of each. That's what I learned from fire. Fire is in every aham vaishwanaro bhutva praninam deham ashrita, right? That fire is there in our belly, so it is eating, consuming things, whatever we put in that fire, convert into to the calories, protein, carbohydrate, all those things, right? And supply the food, energy to the body. So that's what I felt. I want to have that kind of personality, and I learned that from fire. And he talks about, Avadhuta talks to Yadu about another guru, he's a moon. How to, from moon, I learned that how to be calm during the various phases of the material body. The way Chandra goes through the several stages in a month: birth, growth, dwelling, and also death. But I should not be affected by those different phases. I should keep calm and keep cool like moon. That's what I learned from the moon. And also Avadhuta mentions about, I learned from sun how to avoid engagement even while coming into the contact with sensory objects. He talks about how the sun, who gives the entire world the life. If it is a home, the light is there inside the home because sun is there. If it is the open space, light is there because. So sun is, though he is involved in everybody's life, he is coming in contact to everything. He had also, but it remains detached. It doesn't involve. It puts the light, but it doesn't take part. And also Avadhuta says, I learned about the two different modes of the perception based on the seeing real from the soul and seeing the false of the false perception of the things that people have the perception. I put the light on that. That's what he says. Finally, I learn the quality of the sun. I want to be like that. Whatever that I come across, I should do, live like that. So that is the one thing I learned from sun. Then he talks about a pigeon. Then he talks about the pigeon in a story form. He says, one should never indulge. I learned this story observing the pigeons. There are two husband wife pigeon. They have gave birth to the small birds, and how they attached, how they developed the attachment with each other, finally ended up in a disaster situation. He talks about that story of that family of pigeon, how the indulging in excessive affection or the concern about anybody or anything. If you remember Jadabharata story, this Bharata wanted to get moksha. He was completely became sannyasi. He went to from his he gave up his all the entire world entire kingdom to his brothers, and he went to forests living as a sannyasi. He came across a contact with a small deer which fell in the water because her mother was uh, uh, eaten by a tiger or something. Then this small deer was the survivor. Then this Bharata saw that deer as a sannyasi, and he developed attachment with that, and he happened to become deer in this his next life. That we saw that Jarabharata story. Same thing here. He talks about a pigeon family where husband, wife, and kids are there. They were attracted to each other. They built a affection. So this is the time thing I was talking about. You cannot suddenly detach from your family and get the moksha, right? That is called escapism. He's not talking about that escapism here. He's talking about how he avoided becoming part of that. He says, otherwise, one will have to experience the great suffering that the family brings, just like that foolish pigeon I saw. He talks about the story. There was a pigeon who lived in the forest along with his wife, built a nest, and gave birth to offsprings, that is, his kids. They were living very happily. They could not be separated. They loved each other very much. They bound to each other in lot of affection. But one day, what happened is a hunter came and he put a net to capture the birds. What happened? Small birds did not know what it is. See, these hunters, what they do, they put the net and they put some food there. And these birds went to eat that food, and they were stuck in the net. As soon as the birds were stuck in the net, the pigeon and his wife, they saw this. Being a mother, the woman pigeon did not think twice. She jumped into the net to release her kids. But it's a net. It's a that's what happened. It's also got stuck. It got stuck and started struggling. Either it cannot get out, or it could not release the her children. Then all the family was trapped into the net, into the that net that put by the hunter. And this pigeon is observing this, and it cried. The lady pigeon had always allowed herself to bound by the ropes of intense material affection. Now this pigeon finally decided, okay, let me also surrender. It also went knowingly. The first one, the mother pigeon, it did not know, it jumped because in the affection of her kids. And the father pigeon was looking at it, observed, she is stuck, but he could not resist being away from, because of the affection. He could not resist. He himself surrendered and went and get into that net, and it surrendered himself to entire family. The sacrifice happened. So naturally, the hunter was happy, took all four of them, two baby pigeons and mother and a father with him. That's what he came for. So observing from far away, The Avadhuta felt, oh, this is I don't want to do. This is what he learned from the pigeon. He says, this is all the illusory world of relationship and brings lot of anguish and all those things. Being in the grip of the illusory energy of the world, these birds forgot themselves and rushing towards the children, and they were helpless and they lost their life. Seeing this, he says, I should not be doing this. And he repeats the words of Krishna to Uddhava, saying here, the door of liberation is always open, wide for us to achieve, especially being born as a human being. This is the door to get the liberation from this sorrowful world. That is, we call it as Bhavasagara, right? There is a human life is a human form of the life is the door. But if a human being simply devotes himself to the family life like those foolish birds and get destroyed, then he or she cannot get onto the next level because they are stuck. That's what he said. Avadhuta said, that's what I learned. Too much of affection and excessive attachment are not good for me. This human body is open door for the liberation. So I don't want to get attached. That is the reason I got out of this. That's how I became Avadhuta. Then he talks about this is the story he explained and said how I learned by observing the things. Then Avadhuta talks about a python. He says, I learned from python that how a intelligent person can cultivate a mentality of detachment and should maintain his body by accepting whatever comes on its way. That means being, I always considered python as a lazy, right? Because python is always lying around a tree or something. It looks like a root of a tree. It doesn't go and hunt anything. But since it is acting like a tree branch or maybe tree root, birds and other things come nearby that and then it will eat. It won't go after anything. Avadhuta says, I just observed Bhagavan has arranged for the food for everyone. But I don't want to go after that. If he has decided to give me food today, I will get it. So that's what I learned from Python. So I am not going to do anything. If it comes to me, I eat, otherwise I don't. So which is not practical in this current world. That's what I was thinking about. Looking at these kind of stories, the context may change because of the way we are living, but the gist we should not leave out the gist. For example, we should not be after money, cheating somebody and making money for. You see that, right? In lot of recently, I saw in the WhatsApp messages, the guy was storing lot of black money in his water pipes, bed, on the wall, and so much earning, cheating somebody, maybe hurting somebody. That is the extent the people can go. So that we should not do. May not be, will not be able to, the way the Avadhuta is saying, he won't even go and look for the food for survival. That may not be work. That may not work in this current world. But the gist is, don't go after that. to certain extent where you are going to kill or hurt somebody and make illegal money kind of thing. So that's what is the message from Python he learned. He says whatever enjoyment is desired for me will automatically come to me, and thus I should not unnecessarily waste the remaining duration of my life by worrying about those things. This is the beauty, right? We have all the things, but still we think, okay, that guy has a better car, that guy has a better house, then I want to strive for that. Then I compromise my things, my life, my setup. The conditions are different. If there is maybe a rich guy, for example, we see this Amazon and others, finally they end up divorced because they cannot sustain their family life, right? Because they make so much money, so much ambitious, right? Finally what happens is misery. So that's what Avadhuta says. Whatever somebody told me in the past, वक्त से पहले नसीब से ज़्यादा कुछ भी नहीं मिलता. So if you be aware of those things, Bharadu, Bappudu, Bappudu, Tappudu. If we obs- eh, come across these sentences and understand them, then we don't have to get out of our context and try to do different things to hurt the our dependents or maybe other social environment. Do the right thing and be contented in what you get is the message from Python. So this is the beauty of Avadhuta observing so many beautiful things. Now he talks about ocean is that I learned from the ocean. It is a mind of a sage who devoted to the Bhagavan. It appears very clear, very depth, just like the still ocean waters. I want to maintain my mind very calm and deep inside the service of Bhagavan. The ocean never overflows because lot of rivers are joining, lot of good things are happening in my life. I don't One should not overreact, right? We have seen people, if they start getting lot of wealth and money, then they start behaving arrogant. Don't do that. That's what he says. That's what I learned from ocean. Though so many rivers are coming to me, coming to the ocean, it doesn't overflow. It maintains at the center of the ocean. It is always calm. Maybe because of the storms and other things, the ocean may not become by nature. Its default nature, it is a calm place. And if water is gone because sun, the in the in the summertime water goes out, but still it maintains still. Similarly to the ocean, a person with mind of ocean does not become elated when he achieves desirable things and when he does not achieve desirable things. Always he maintains his calmness. That is the mindset I want to have. That's how I learned from the ocean. This is the message from Avadhuta communicating to Yadu. Then he says, I learned from a moth. Just a butterfly or moth becomes enticed by the fire and gives its life. I don't want to be a fool who cannot control the senses and get attracted by some pleasures and because of that get destroyed. These fireflies come around the fire. They think, they get attracted. They think it is attractive thing. They go there, they get burnt. I saw that. I saw that it is chasing after those ambition, chasing after that fire, but then they become succumbed by that fire. That because they burnt that fire. So I decided not to be as fool as that moth which goes near the fire thinking getting attracted. So there are so many attraction in this world. I try to avoid. Of course, we can relate this to anything that makes us impulsive behavior in our life. For some people it is sweet, for some people it is opposite sex person or whatever it is, right? Or maybe the fantasy about the car, fantasy about the purchasing so many, the online shopping, right? People do shopping, right? They finally destroy themselves in the shopping. There is a disease about that. Even there is a disease about usage of this some smartphones, right? These are all the senses. These are all the things like a moth going towards the fire, a firefly going towards the fire, destroying their time, destroying their mind, kind of thing. So this is applicable for us very clearly, that how we are enticed by the senses, and we should observe it and make sure we don't get into that mode. So that's what Avadhuta said about the moth that he learned. Then he talks about something he learned about the bees, the bumblebees and the honeybees. He says a sadhu should collect only small amount of food from many different households. Thus, day after the day, he can practice occupation of Madhukara Vrutti to maintain his existence. But as soon as he start storing, and he should do only essential what is required for him. But as soon as he starts storing, then it is in the problem. What happens to these bees? They start storing, then somebody comes and cuts the honeybee nest, and they take the honey whatever you have collected. So I don't want to be like that bees which collect the honey and keep it, and somebody destroys and takes it away. I don't want to be that person. So I do use a Madhukara Vrutti, where I go and beg, or maybe go to a tree wherever it is free available and eat. I don't store anything. So this may not be practical for the current life, not to store or not, but not to store too much, not to be, right, be as much as practical. Right, people start even collecting, I heard that people started collecting this toilet tissues. They're, they were, because of this corona thing happened, they started collecting so much of tissue paper in their home and garage, and they made they are not available in the market. I don't know why. This kind of nature we should avoid. That's what is the message from he learned from the bee, looking at the bee. Then he comes to observing an elephant. He says male elephants are tricked by the hunters in moving towards the captive female elephants, and they fall in the trap. And I have seen so many elephants doing that, though they know there is some danger, but still they are after that woman. Of course, in this case, it don't have to be male or female, it is the opposite sex. There is sexual senses I am talking about. If you are too much after that, it is a trap. That's where Avadhuta felt, oh, I don't want to be married, kind of thing. So he did learn from that. Maybe not nothing to do with marriage. He felt that this is how the elephant can be fooled, and I want to avoid not to be fooled by the nature like that. And he says, I learned the lesson from the bees, and also I learned the lesson from honey thief. He talks about Madhuha, right? He talks, a honeybee thief is that, this is another thing he learned. is that just as he steals the honey from the honey collected by the bees, though they have put so much of effort in collecting the um, great effort in collecting the honey, this person comes and steals that food from that, and anybody's hard earned money he is going to destroy and take it to himself. So he learned that I should not be doing like a honey thief. Then he talks about the deer. He observed a deer watching in the forest. He saw that a deer gets attracted, becomes confused upon hearing the song that hunters play using their flute, and because of the melodious song, it lost its path. It went near the place where the song is being played. Then the person who is playing the song in using his flute, he captures. That's what is happening from the getting lost in those things, sensory things. For example, we do this TV, watching Facebook, spending time on the WhatsApp, right? Unnecessary waste of the time. We don't even realize that we have wasted the time. The entire day is gone. Pending things to do are left. Talking to some people whom we respect, whom we have a concern about. We forget about doing that. Maybe seva we wanted to do, but we did not do seva work. People may be in need of help. We don't do because the TV show is there, movie watching is there, maybe WhatsApp messages to be responded, right? So many things in this current world, like a deer in the forest, we get attracted, we waste so much time, and naturally we will be captivated by that person who is the marketing guys, right, who get our time, and we are lost. So Avadhuta says, I learned that I should not become like confused and lost because of mundane music and songs and messages and other things. So that is the lesson from the deer that Avadhuta learned. Then Avadhuta says, I saw on one more creature. See, look at the things. Avadhuta's observation is very interesting. He is not talking about anything other than reading the book or listening to somebody's pravachan or something. He says, I am observing entire thing from the world. That means he has maintained that quality of observing what is happening. Totally we have lost it. We have lost in this, especially in the current situation, so many things happening within the hand, the mobile, and within the computers, so, and news, lot of things. We lost the observing ability completely. So this guy is fortunate. The Avadhuta has observed the nature and learned the things. Now he talks about a fish. And he says, because it comes under the attraction of the attachment to the senses of the taste. Taste is the one more one more thing that takes majority of the world on its under its control. Entire taste bud is only for what? On our tongue it is only for 1 inch, 1.5 inch. But whole world is surrounding. There are lot of shows. If you look into the YouTube and other things, lot of kitchen shows. The recipes, so many things, so many drinks, so many wines, so many food, so much of tasty things. Talk about that. Finally, the area that understands that part is only 1.5 inch or 1 inch, or that too for few seconds or few minutes. As long as you keep that Mysore pak in your mouth, 2 seconds it is gone, and it has added 100 calories to your body. But still we do that. This fish does the same thing. It goes after that, whatever that meat they are putting at the end of this fishing thread. It goes because of its tongue thing, it goes and gets stuck and it gives its life. So person gets victimized by his irresistible tongue, and which will end up in losing the life. So Avadhuta says that is the one thing I want to have the control on. Have a desire, he will eat the food, but he will make sure it is not becoming my major attraction, my thing to whatever they call the my weakness kind of thing. So he decides, okay, I don't want to be like a fish which is after the food, and then it went and caught up by the fisherman. So he decides to have the control on the tongue. So like that, Avadhuta is talking about so many gurus, and it's already 1 hour we discussed, so I want to stop here. Then the next story is about a Vesha called Pingala. So here is very interesting that Avadhuta did not learn from a Pativrata wife or somebody. He learned observing a woman named Pingala, and she was in Vaideha, they say, and he observed how she behaved, and then he felt that is not the thing to do. Let us see what is the story about Pingala in next session. Till then, we will do this entire discussion between the Avadhuta and Yadu. This is called Avadhoota Gita to Shri Krishna, who is actually the one who is narrating this to Udhava. So Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.